3 and 8, 6 straight losses. And now the most controversial decision of the season is on the table. The coaching staff wants the franchise quarterback back on the battlefield. Problem is, comparisons to one of the worst nightmares in this organization's history are starting to echo through the hallways of Ashburn. We're talking about a young talent with a dislocated elbow, a team with no playoff hopes, and a decision that could define the next decade of this franchise. This ain't a drill. This is real. And what's at stake is way more than 6 games. Jayden Daniels speaks out on health debate. Jayden Daniels broke his silence. And he did it in the most competitive way possible. When reporters asked him about the debate that's burning up Washington, about whether or not he should play again this season with the team at 3 and 8, the Heisman Trophy winner cut straight to it. Gotta go out there and play football if I'm healthy and ready to go. I want to be out there. Those were his exact words. And there's the dilemma that's splitting the nation's capital. Because listen to this. Daniels hasn't played since week 9, suffered an ugly, dislocated elbow against the Seattle Seahawks. The kind of injury that makes you look away when you see the replay. And that's not all. Before that elbow injury, Daniels had already missed time this season because of knee and hamstring injuries. This 24-year-old kid is the prized young franchise cornerstone. He's the future. He's the reason DC fans started believing again after years of darkness. And that's where the story gets ugly. Because there are comparisons to Robert Griffin III. And if you're a Commanders fan, those 2 words make you shudder. R.G. Ray was the savior, the dynamic quarterback who was going to change everything. And then came that knee injury in the playoffs against Seattle in 2012. Mike Shanahan let him play. The field was torn up. Griffin destroyed his knee, and he was never the same again. Now look where we are. Daniels with a dislocated elbow, a 3 and 8 team with no playoff hopes, and the quarterback saying he wants to play. Sound familiar, right? Fans are terrified. Social media is exploding because everyone remembers what happened the last time this organization gambled with their franchise quarterback in a lost season. But here's the flip side. Daniels is a competitor. He was selected to the Pro Bowl in 2024, won the Heisman at LSU. This dude doesn't know any other way to operate than going 100%. And from his perspective, he's 24 years old. He wants to develop. He wants to gain experience. He wants to prove he can lead even when things are bad. The argument for sitting him is strong, brutally strong. 3 and 8, no playoffs, an elbow that needs time to heal completely, and Dry's ghost floating over every decision. But Daniels is responding like any true competitor would. He wants to be out there. He wants to fight. He wants to show he's not scared. And here's what nobody's saying out loud. If Daniels comes back and gets hurt again, especially seriously, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters might be ending their careers in Washington before they really begin. Because the fans won't forgive, the media won't forgive, and history definitely won't forgive. But there's also this. If you sit him when he wants to play, when he feels healthy, when he's fighting to be out there, you're sending a message. You're telling your franchise quarterback you don't trust him to make decisions about his own body. You're telling him the team is giving up, and that can create cracks in the relationship that are hard to repair. Daniels was clear. Gotta go out there and play football. If I'm healthy and ready to go, I want to be out there. That's a winner's mentality. That's the mentality of someone who doesn't accept excuses. But the question keeping everyone in Ashburn up at night is this. Is it courage or is it recklessness? Because in 2012, R.G. Thwart also wanted to play, also felt ready, also was a fierce competitor. And we all know how that story ended. The destroyed knee, the derailed career, the what if that haunts this franchise to this day. Nobody wants to see that movie again. But here we are, same franchise, same dilemma, different quarterback, same impossibly high stakes. What do you think about this? Should they let Daniels play or protect him for the future? Leave us your comment below. Dan Quinn wants Jayden Daniels back this season. And now let's talk about the man who has to make the final call. Dan Quinn, the head coach who took this team to an NFC championship last year. The guy who shocked the football world. And now he's navigating the toughest storm of his tenure in Washington. Quinn spoke about Daniels' progress in practice and whether he'll be able to play against the Denver Broncos in Week 13. Yeah, it has been good. He will be able to return to practice. We had our first session today, but he has not been cleared for contact. So, he'll probably be unlikely to play. But man, it's good to get started and get the return to play going. So that's a big deal for us. Those were Quinn's words. Listen to what's happening there. Quinn's being cautious. He's being measured, but he's also leaving the door open. Daniels is back at practice. Not cleared for contact yet, but the return to play process has started. And that's significant, because Quinn could have shut this down completely. Could have said, look, we're 3-8. JAYDEN sits the rest of the year. End of story. But he didn't. Instead, he's preparing Marcus Mariota to potentially make another start if Daniels can't go. But Quinn also made it clear he hopes the former Heisman Trophy winner can make it back on the field at some point this season. And here's where it gets interesting. Quinn explained why he thinks it's important for Daniels to return. I think it's important as JAYDEN's getting good going, learning to play like this position at the highest level competitively, also doing it safely. And those are reps that you develop as well. It's a skill just like throwing and processing. And so all those things are important. That's what Quinn said. So Quinn's framing this as development. He's saying Daniels needs those reps, needs to learn how to play safely at the highest level, needs to continue his evolution as a quarterback. And from a pure coaching perspective, Quinn's right. Young quarterbacks need reps, need experience, need to learn how to navigate different situations. But here's the counter-argument. 3-8, no playoffs, a dislocated elbow that needs to heal completely, and RG Spectre, because everyone remembers what happened when Mike Shanahan let Griffin play injured in a playoff season. And this isn't even a playoff season. This is a lost season. Quinn also mentioned it was awesome today to have everyone back at practice, including 3 guys who were in their 21-day window. Too early to call a lot of the guys for the game. But getting on the field and having the guys here, that was a big deal, man, to have that many. That's been a long time since I said that out loud. If everybody's here and working, that's for sure. So Quinn's trying to get the team healthy. He's trying to get some momentum back. He's trying to build towards something, even if this season is lost. And part of that is having Daniels back on the field. But here's the million-dollar question. Is Quinn the right guy to make this call? Because Quinn's a defensive coach. He's not a quarterback guy. And this is a quarterback decision. This is a decision that could define the next decade of this franchise. And if he gets it wrong, if Daniels comes back and gets seriously hurt, Quinn will forever be remembered as the guy who ruined the franchise quarterback. And here's what makes this even more complicated. Quinn just came off an NFC championship, just shocked the world, and now he's 3-8. Expectations were high, too high maybe, and now he's trying to salvage something from this season. He's trying to show he can still coach, that he can still develop players, that this 6-game freefall was an anomaly. But if he gambles with Daniels and it goes wrong, there's no coming back. Fans won't forgive, media won't forgive, and the organization might decide they need a new coach. Because in Washington, the story of ruining franchise quarterbacks isn't just a story. It's a curse. It's a pattern. And nobody wants to be the next chapter in that horror story. Quinn wants Daniels back. That's clear. But he wants him back safely. Wants him back when he's ready. And there's the impossible balance. Because Daniels says he's ready. Says he wants to play. But is he really ready? Or is it just a competitor being a competitor? And how do you know the difference until it's too late, Commanders? Playing with playoff mindset despite 3-8 record. And now let's talk about something that sounds completely insane on the surface. Dan Quinn and the Commanders are talking about playing with a playoff mindset, despite being 3-8, despite losing 6 straight games, despite playoff hopes fading weeks ago. Quinn was direct about this. Yeah, I want to see us not working to that. I want that to be the standard as we move forward this game. The next game, and on. None of the trajectory. I'm saying, let's nail these standards that we're looking for. That's what Quinn said. And it's a bold statement for a team that's in free fall. But here's what Quinn's trying to do. He's trying to build culture. He's trying to establish habits. He's trying to make sure that when this season ends, when the off-season comes, when they start preparing for 2026, they have something to build on. Because if you just give up, if you just go through the motions the last 6 games, that seeps in. That becomes who you are, Quinn continued. The good news that I would say, this is a cool group, man. And so a lot of fight, a lot of attitude, and there's been some opportunities for some new faces and some new spots. And I don't take those lightly either. When guys wanting to demonstrate, I can step up, I can make this move, I can do the next thing, whether they were here prior or new to the club. And so I think I'm just excited, man, to get rolling with some of the guys and hopefully have a few on their way back as well. So it's a big deal for us. So Quinn's seeing this as opportunity. Opportunity for young players to prove they belong. Opportunity for new signings to show their value. Opportunity to build depth for next year. And from an organizational development perspective, that makes sense. Because these 6 games can be valuable, even if they mean nothing in terms of standings. But here's the brutal reality. 3-8, 6 straight losses, and talking about playoff mindset. For a lot of fans, that sounds like delusion. Sounds like a coach who's losing the plot. Sounds like someone who's not facing the reality of how bad this season has been. Because let's be honest, this team went to the NFC Championship last year, shocked the world, and then came the expectations. Expectations! They could do it again! Expectations! Daniels would take the next step! Expectations! The defense would be elite! And none of that has happened! Instead, they've been a disaster! They've been inconsistent! They've found ways to lose games they should have won! Quinn also talked about specific areas where he wants to see improvement. Yeah, I wanted to see us eliminate some of these things that have been tripping us up. So I'm talking about turnover margins. I'm talking about eliminating the false starts, the pre-snap penalties that I was kind of referring to earlier. These little things done at a world-class level. It may not show up on the stat sheet in that way, but I'll know that. I'll see the speed. I'll see the intensity. I'll see the execution. Those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing us do. And not except for this, or except for that play, but just consistently doing that spot together. That's what I'm aiming to see, and I want to see that on the regular. Not up for half down. Literally, this is how we get down, and this is what I'm looking for on the regular. And there's the meat of what Quinn's trying to do. Fundamentals, discipline, consistency, the boring stuff that wins football games. Because if you look at the last 6 games, the Commanders have competed. They haven't been blown out, they've been in games, but they've found ways to lose. Turnovers, penalties, mental mistakes, the little things that separate winning teams from losing teams. And Quinn's right about this. If they can fix those things now, if they can build those habits now, that carries over to next year. That becomes part of the culture. That becomes who they are as a team. Because culture isn't built when things are going well. It's built when things are going bad. It's built when you're 3-8 and still fighting. It's built when you're eliminated from the playoffs and still care. But here's the other side. If you talk about playoff mindset and then go out and look like garbage, you lose the locker room. You lose credibility. Players stop believing. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to get back. So Quinn's walking a tightrope. He's trying to keep the team engaged without sounding delusional. He's trying to build for the future without giving up on the present. And honestly, it's an impossible position. Because no matter what he says, no matter how he frames it, the reality is this team is 3-8. The reality is they've lost 6 straight. The reality is playoff hopes were gone weeks ago. So how do you keep a locker room engaged when there's nothing to play for except pride? Quinn's trying. Give him credit for that. He's trying to find something positive in this nightmare season. He's trying to build something that lasts beyond 2025. But the question is whether the players buy it, whether they believe playing with a playoff mindset when you're 3-8 means anything, or if it's just noise from a coach trying to save his job. Because let's be clear, if the Commanders finish 4-13 or 5-12, there will be questions about Quinn. There will be questions about whether he's The right guy! There will be questions about whether the NFC Championship run was a mirage. And if he gambles with Daniels and it goes wrong, those questions will turn into screams. They'll turn into demands for change. They'll turn into the end of his tenure in Washington. So here we are. JAYDEN Daniels wants to play. Dan Quinn wants him back. The team is talking playoff mindset despite being 3-8. And RG Vite comparisons are hovering over everything like a dark cloud nobody wants to acknowledge, but everyone can see. This is the decision that will define the next decade of the Washington Commanders. Do they play Daniels and risk his long-term health? Or do they sit him, protect the investment, and potentially damage the relationship with their franchise quarterback? There's no right answer, only consequences. And those consequences will shape this organization's future in ways we can't fully predict. If you want to be the first to know the latest news firsthand before anyone else, subscribe now, because this story is just getting started, and what happens in the next few weeks could change everything.